What's up, guys? It's Lugo back with Flex Appeal episode 43. Today was my primary push session. Week 8 has started. I'm almost to like 2 full weeks of training, or not 2 full weeks, 2 full months of training again. Finishing week 8, and it kind of gets weird because I run my training on an 8 week day. So the days that I train are different every week, because the last day is always shifting. So um, the days that I actually do train will just shift by one, which is it's not bad for me, but I think for most people it's not ideal because you have certain days that you want to train and where you want to be in the gym, and you want to know that every week so you can keep not only keep some consistency, but just people are busy, people have stuff to do. But for me, training eclipses everything because I love training, so I'm willing to run push pull legs, which may not be optimal on this 8 day split to get more recovery. And so far, it's definitely been working well. And I feel like I have a good amount of progress that I've made that I enjoyed, and I enjoy training like this. Um, I thought about doing upper lower before, upper lower rest, upper lower rest rest. But I mean, like I understand the idea of it, but I feel like my upper would just get less intensity overall, and then also less sets overall because you're doing so much in the workout. Like you have to do chest, back, biceps, triceps, and I just feel like I would get less quality work overall. And I mean, that could definitely be fixed by just increasing your exertion and making sure you're there. But I feel like at some point you're just doing so much in one day that it's just gonna fizzle off. And I guess maybe it's not, because a lot of people, like, when they do these splits, they're not doing presses or squats. They're kind of just doing like leg extensions and um like flies and stuff. So the amount of effort that they have to put in is innately lower because you're not doing these multi joint movements, which I do think contributes to the ability to do this. Because I think when you're doing squats and you're doing presses and you know big compound movements, you tend to exert a lot more energy just by default. So I think for me it probably wouldn't work. And I also just like being in the gym, and I feel like I manage my fatigue well. That's the reason that I added an extra day, so that I can uh be in the gym as much as I can to just maximize recovery. Um and maybe it's not ideal. Like I said, I don't feel like how I train is ideal for pure hypertrophy, but also don't just train for hypertrophy. I value being strong as well, and I know that there's a certain level of strength that you get from just getting big that I think a lot of people underrate in bodybuilders. But beyond that, I feel like unless you're on gear, then the strength level of somebody that trains for strength is going to be different. And I think that it doesn't really compare um, to somebody who just trains for hypertrophy. And I think maybe now it's different because of the fact that uh, a lot of a lot of science based lifters are kind of dipping into the what people would have traditionally considered the hypertrophy rep range of, like, or the strength rep range of like 4-3 reps, and it's kind of staying in that. And I will say it definitely does build a lot of strength. And I honestly can't say right now definitively that this is what is making me progress a lot faster than last time, because again, like I said, last time when I was doing this last year, I was coming off of not lifting for years, completely noob gains, and I lost pretty much all of my muscle. But this time around, it's only been 9 months coming back. My entire muscle reserves, or my muscle hasn't completely faded away. strength and neural adaptations probably not completely gone. So I'm coming back with like remnants of stuff and like still tapping into that new begins. So I'm like making rapid progress. But it just feels like comparatively still I'm just much stronger by like weeks. I think when I was around this time, if I remember last year I was squatting around week 8 like 115 for 10 on pause squats. I'm doing like 187, 190 for pause squats, which is 70, 80 pounds more. No lingering pain, kind of maybe like some weird knee feel sometimes just because of the amount of cardio that I added in, I think too fast. Um but it feels like it's working. And I don't want to be one of those people that's just like, oh, it feels like it's working, it has to work. And I think there's something to be said about being on both sides of science, being either evidence-based lifter or science-based lifter. And I think that sometimes we on both sides they have a tendency to kind of like discredit each other just for clout and just to be he xd mode. Like, so I don't want to say for sure that it's working, because again I'm tapping into something that you kind of only get when you come back from uh a long layoff. I'll have to know for sure when I, settle at my weight, when it's been like a year and then I'm doing this. But I will say the one annoying thing about this is that I'm probably going to need a gym pin soon, because I'm getting really strong really fast. Like, I don't know if I've ever done uh the adductor machine as heavy as I've done it. I think maybe the most that I ever did was like 200 for 12 for like a light set of RP 6 to 8 or something. And then now I'm doing like a hard set of 240 for like 6 to 7 or 6 to 8. And the machine only goes up to like 300. The same with laterals, like the unilateral body master one that I was just using. I'm like at 135 and my top end is like 6 7 reps. So like in a month or two, I'm going to have to get a gym pin, and I'm fucking poor right now. Like, I have an interview today. I really hope that I get it, because the quality of life of having money is just like, I haven't had a job for a while. And I think that's probably one of my biggest regrets, especially as someone that's been in the gym, is just like not having a job consistently throughout the years. And it's obviously one of the things that's like, oh shit, well, of course you want a job, but it's just been, it was like hard to find one. I don't think I'm hard work adverse, like I don't want to work at a job. I think that it's just like, it's just hard to get one and get in, especially around here where everyone around where I live is kind of in agriculture, and the biggest driving jobs are all agriculture, and all the young people work at these other jobs until they get, a job around here, or you leave, or you become a correctional officer, a police officer, trade jobs. That's kind of where the money is. And when there's so many young people uh, coming of age to work, all these other jobs, they're kind of oversaturated, because there's such an influx of people. And especially when like all the stuff that kind of pays good is fast food, because of the minimum adjusted minimum wage for California, which is $20. They tend to be the most hard to get, even if they're not the hardest. And coming from somebody, because I've never worked in food industry, it's kind of hard. I'm kind of like, being honest, I'm kind of coping hard. I definitely before didn't really care, which is not a good attitude to have. I've since changed my beliefs, and I definitely really want to get one now, because having no money sucks, and that's pretty obvious. So uh, that's my job rant. Hopefully, I'm not jobless for much longer. That'd be pretty cool. But that's pretty much it, guys. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like, a comment, or a subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow for legs. Oh, fuck, I'm gonna go on another one real quick. I took off Stairmaster from this day, like I said I was gonna do last week. I only did incline for 30 minutes because I was just piss vibing, practicing what I'm gonna say at my job interview, and the time just went fast. I did 7 incline this week, did 6 last week. So I'm very curious to see if tomorrow the affected um if my legs are less affected and I can maybe make a bigger jump tomorrow, because I feel like I said this last week, but I was carrying too much fatigue in my legs from doing Stairmaster on 3 days consecutively in a row, which was my last push day of. So in this sense, week 7 I would do Stairmaster on day 7. I would do Stairmaster on day 8, and then going into the new week I would do Stairmaster on day 1. 3 days in a row. My rest day would have more because I'm not doing anything, but it was all like level 4, pretty hard quad burn. And so I do feel like because I'm heavy, that is basically a leg workout for me as it currently stands. So my quads were taking a pretty big beating from that when I added it in, and I feel like the quality of my squats has gone down. So I'm just adjusting where I put it and making sure that it doesn't stack too much, and that I at least have a day in between for that rest. The day before, the day during, and then the day after I'll do Stairmaster again. But I'm curious to see. Although none of you probably care, um, I'm a man of science sometimes, and I like to test things. So I'm curious to see how it'll affect. But yeah, besides nerding out, that's pretty much it, guys. Have a good day.